the other big thing that happened when I was around 10 or so was in Sunday school. And we were having the story that day about Elijah and the prophets of Baal. He took them on. And that was an exciting story for me. You can find it in 1 Kings chapter 18, verses 21 through 39. And I'm going to read a couple of verses to start and then tell you the story from there on. But Elijah had God, he was a prophet of God, excuse me, and God had been taxing his heart, telling him to call out to the people and to tell them that once again they had gotten off on the wrong path. And even though they claimed to be worshiping God and they dutifully offered their sacrifices and showed up at the tabernacle and followed rules, at other times they were straight up worshiping Baal, taking part in the pagan rituals that include horrific things such as child sacrifice, just stuff that feeds the flesh and puts up a wall between us and God. So Elijah knew that God was nearing, he was really getting upset, and he felt led to tell the people. Elijah came near to all the people and said, "How long will you halt and limp between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him." And the people did not answer a word. Then Elijah said to the people, only I remain a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let 2 bulls be given us. Let them choose 1 bull for themselves and cut it in pieces and lay it on the wood, but put no fire to it. I will dress the other bull, lay it on the wood, and put no fire to it. Then you, prophets of Baal, call on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of the Lord. And the one who answers by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered, "It is well spoken." They were down with that competition. Bring it on. So, that's what happened. They were given each a bull, and the prophets of Baal, first they built 2 altars to sacrifice the bulls on. And they got them ready for the sacrifice, and the prophets of Baal went to work. They called out to their God, and they screamed and cried, and they worked themselves up into a frenzy. For hours and hours, they called out to their God. Nothing happened. And at noon, Elijah mocked them, saying, "Cry aloud, for he is a god. Either he is musing, or he has gone aside, or he's on a journey, or perhaps he's asleep and must be awakened." So they cried out again and called out, and it says that the prophets got so beside themselves. Or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't beside themselves. After their custom with knives and lances, they cut themselves until the blood gushed upon them. So they were also cutters, child sacrificers, cutters. So midday passed, and finally Elijah called to the people and said that, have they had enough time? Their time's up. Now let's see what God can do. So, but before Elijah began to pray, he called out for big jugs of water to be poured out over the top of the wood altar to make it even harder to catch fire. It was so, actually, I'm sorry, when they were building the altar, then, as part of it, Isaiah had them put a moat around the altar, and they filled 4 jars with water and poured it on the burnt offering and the wood. And then he told them to do it again, and a third time. And they had done it, filled it, poured so much water that it had run down and saturated everything, and then there was still standing water around the altar itself. The trench was filled with water. I said moat. It was a trench. Probably not as deep, but still. That was a lot of water to pour on something you're thinking is going to catch on fire. And then Elijah said, "Hear me, O Lord. Hear me, that this people may know that you, the Lord, are God, and have turned their hearts back to you." And then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice and the wood and the stones and the dust, and also licked up the water that was in the trench. And when the people saw it, they fell on their faces, and they said, "The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God." And I remember that day when my Aunt Betty was my teacher, and she was telling us that story. I was on the edge of my seat, and I was cheering in my head. And I told him then that, oh, if I had been alive in that day, if I had been there, I would have been standing by Elijah, cheering him on the whole time, because I too know beyond doubt that you are real. It's just something I've always known.